Hello students, now the next part is the electronic configuration of elements of different blocks. So first of all we will discuss about the electronic configuration of S block element. Since we have taken the example like lithium group number 1 and 2, that is alkali metal and alkaline earth metals are called S block elements. So in S block elements you can see the electronic configuration of lithium is 1s2 2s1. Electronic configuration of beryllium is 1s2 2s2. For sodium 1s2 2s2 2p1 3s1. Magnesium 1s2 2s2 2p6 3s2. These two are the group number 2 elements and these are the group number 1 elements. In both the groups or in all these elements we can see that the last electron enters in the S orbital or S subshell. That's why they are called S block element. Why they are called S block element? Because in these elements the last electron enters in the S subshell, and that's why their general electronic configuration is ns122. Means in ns only either 1 or 2 electrons will be filled. So these elements are called S block elements. Now for P block elements, number 2 is P block elements. In P block elements, the outermost electron move to the P subshell. That's why they are called P block elements. Since in oxygen, fluorine, chlorine, 2p4, 2p5, 3p5, so the outermost electron, it will enter inside the P orbital. That's why they are called P block elements, and the general electronic configuration is ns122 and p126. Okay. Similarly, the third elements are the D block elements. D block elements are also called the transition elements. And in D block elements, the outer electron enters in the D subshell. For example, let's take an easy example of iron. The electronic configuration of iron is, we can write it argon. Okay. Then 3D, 6, 4s, 2. So this is the general electronic configuration of iron. The general electronic configuration means this is the electronic configuration for iron. Like this we can write the electronic configuration of all the elements present in periodic table, and by this we will also get a formula, that is general electronic configuration formula. It is n-1 d, because here it is 4s and here it is n-1 d, n-1 d 1 to 10 n s 0 to 2. So this is the general electronic configuration formula for the D block elements. By using this formula we can write down the electronic configuration of all the possible elements. Generally you have to note down one thing, that D block elements, these are having these elements shows different type of oxidation state. Like iron, it can shows Fe+2, Fe+3 oxidation state. Chromium is there, manganese is there, that shows maximum oxidation state up to Mn+7. So these elements shows different type of oxidation state. That's why due to the transition of electron at different levels, the D block element gives different type of colors. Okay, so they shows different type of colors. Now the next part is the F block elements. So D, next one are the F block elements. After lanthanoids and actinoids, the lanthanoids and actinoids represents the F block. Okay, and you can write the name of 2-3 elements, and after that we will get the general electronic configuration formula for F block elements, and it will be n-2 F 1 to 14, because in F orbital maximum 14 electrons can be filled, n-1 D 0 to 10 and ns2. So this is the general electronic configuration formula for the F block elements. Generally we are having two blocks as we have discussed, lanthanoids and actinoids. All the elements after uranium, means uranium is having atomic number 92. All the elements discovered after uranium, they are called transuranic elements or para-uranium elements, we are also asking them. Okay, so these are the general electronic configuration for the different type of elements like F block and P block type of elements. Now now we are going to discuss about the trends in the periodic table, that is why the elements are showing what properties elements are showing after regular intervals, what is the similarity in property, why the difference in the properties are there. So we will discuss about the trends in periodic table, and among these trends, first of all we will discuss about the atomic radius. Okay, the first topic is the atomic radius. So what is the atomic radius? Generally there is an atom, okay, suppose it is nucleus. There is an atom and nucleus is present at the center of the atom and electrons are revolving here. So the path of electrons is circular we are considering, but actually according to the wave theory we come to know that the path of electron is not actually like this circular, it is just like a wave. So it is impossible for us to calculate, so it is very impossible for us to calculate the radius of an atom very properly, and that's why to calculate the atomic radius we are considering the molecules made up of same type of atom or different type of atom. Like we are considering the H2 molecule in which two molecules are present, so we will calculate the radius of H2 by X-ray spectroscopy, and so many techniques are there by which we will be able to calculate the atomic radius, and afterwards we are just getting the value of a single atom. So this is the atomic radius. So students, you must come to know that there are different type of atomic radius, like number one is covalent radius. What is actually covalent radius? When two atoms are there which are bonded with each other and which are bonded which shows the sharing of electrons with each other, such type of bond is called covalent bond. This is called covalent bond. So what will we do? We will calculate suppose this is atom number A and this is atom number B. Okay. So we will calculate the distance between the nuclei of the two atoms. So this is the distance between nuclei of two atoms DAB, and the covalent radius will be half of the distance between, this is the covalent radius between the atomic radius. This will be half of the distance between the two atoms bonded with covalent bonds. So this is the covalent radius. Okay. Now second is about the metallic radius. What is metallic radius? Generally, if we are taking a piece of iron, if we are taking a piece of aluminium, if we are taking a piece of gold, so all the atoms in the metal, they are bonded very close to each other. Why they are bonded close to each other? Definitely the metals are there. And what is the property of metal? Metals are generally electropositive. They donate electrons. So in the metallic part, metallic piece or metallic crystal, actually the free electron are present which are attracted by the nuclei of each and every atom, and that's why due to that there is a strong force of attraction and all the atoms are linked with each other. Okay, they are tightly arranged. In this way, due to which what we will do, we will take two elements, two atoms. Okay, we will calculate the internuclear distance. Suppose it is atom number first and it is atom number second of same type. So we will calculate, or we can take it AB. So we will calculate the distance between two nuclei, that is DAB, and half of this distance in a metal, this will be called as metallic radius. So in metallic radius, we will first of all consider the distance between the two closely linked atoms of a metal, and afterwards we will calculate the distance, half of the distance between their nuclei. It is called atomic radius. Okay, now the third type of radius, it is called the van der Waals radius. The van der Waals radius is the third type of radius. What is van der Waals? Actually, you can see that the gaseous atoms which are present in our surroundings, okay, so there is a very lesser force of attraction between the gaseous molecules and gaseous atoms. Why is it? Because the atoms which are bonded by gases, means which are gases actually, molecules or atoms, they are having a large gap because of the very negligible force of attraction. So these two non-bonded atoms are there, means these are the non-bonded atoms, means in which there is no bond. Like we can write it like inert gases. Okay, so when these molecules are their minimum distance, in that case we will consider the distance between these atoms. This is DAB, and the half of their distance, it is called the van der Waals radius. Okay, so this is the van der Waals radius, which is present or which is calculated by considering two non-bonded atoms like inert gases. Generally the inert gases shows do not form any bond. That's why it is there are very weak forces of attraction between them. They are called van der Waals forces, and in this way we are calculating the radius, that is called van der Waals radius. Next one is, so that's why we come to know that van der Waals radius, that is van der Waals radius is comparatively higher, means has the maximum value than simple metallic radius and then covalent radius. So this is the order of the different type of radius of the atoms. Okay, so fine students, now what we will do, we will first of all study about the trends in the periodic table. We will study about the trends in periodic table about the atomic radius. So in a group, so while we are moving in a group from top to bottom, like let's take group number 1, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium. So while moving from top to bottom, the atomic radius of elements increases. Top to bottom, atomic radius increases. Why atomic radius will increase? Because the number of shells also increases. Okay, because number of shells increases, that is principal quantum number increases, number of shells also increases. And also we will see that there is a large amount of increment here only. Why? Due to the presence of poor shielding effect. So shielding effect is also increasing, but here the shielding effect is poor, increasing but it is poor. That's why the atomic radius will increase at a high speed. Okay, so it is present inside a group. So inside a group from top to bottom, the atomic radius will increase. Now let's consider in a period. So what is in a period? In a period from left to right, like consider lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine. So while moving from left to right, the atomic radius will decrease. Why it will decrease? Because the effective nuclear charge, that is Z effective, it will increase. That's why the atomic radius decrease. What is the effective nuclear charge? Effective nuclear charge means how effectively the nucleus is attracting its electrons. So here the electrons are increasing in a period, but they are continuously increasing in a particular means shell only. That's why the distance from the distance of nucleus and electrons do not increase. Electrons are increasing at the same place, same distance, and that's why the effect of nucleus increases to attract its electrons. So these are the general trends which represents the increment of or decrement of radius in a group or period. Now let's discuss about the certain examples. So we are having a certain examples like in a period. First of all, let's consider the period. So number one, like if we will consider helium and hydrogen, that is period number 1. So within first period we will see that the atomic radius of helium and hydrogen, the atomic radius of helium is more than the hydrogen. Why is it? Because hydrogen shows covalent bonding, that is covalent radius, and helium shows van der Waal radius, that is van der Waal bonding or weak van der Waal forces, that is van der Waal radius. And we saw that van der Waal radius is comparatively more as than the covalent radius. That's why in first period the radius of helium is more than the hydrogen. Second one, similarly in second period, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine and neon. So here also, while moving from left to right, the atomic radius will decrease. Okay, because the Z effective will increase. But in case of neon, it is having the maximum covalent radius. Sorry, maximum atomic radius, because it represents the van der Waal radius, and all of these represent the covalent radius or different type of radius. Lithium and beryllium, they also shows the covalent nature, that's why, and the covalent radius is lesser than the van der Waal radius because it is the noble gas, that is inert gas, so it shows the van der Waal radius. Okay, so these are the two trends which we have discussed. Similarly you can see that in group number 3rd or period number 3rd also the same pattern will be there, that is the argon is having maximum the argon is also having the maximum covalent van der Waal radius, and which one is maximum. Okay, now before this we are going to start. Okay, let's discuss in one of the period, that is in D block also. Let's discuss this. So in a period only we are having some exceptions. Okay, and in D block element, that is a very important concept that you have to remember. Like in D block element, let's consider group number 3rd, 4th, group number 3rd, scandium, yttrium, lanthanum, actinium, titanium, vanadium, hafnium. So let's consider this one only. So here when we move from left to right, then we will see that the atomic radius first of all decrease, then it becomes equivalent, and then it will increase, and afterward it will decrease. So these example we will study later when you will be in the 12th class for the D block elements. Okay, and I will tell you a trick to write down the electronic configuration of groups or period in a D block element. And let's consider this one, the reason. So scandium, yttrium, lanthanum, top to bottom the atomic radius will increase, but when we move from left to right, definitely here the atomic radius is lesser. Zirconium is also having a very lesser atomic radius than yttrium, but lanthanum, when we move from lanthanum to hafnium, means over here, let's see this one, titanium is having minimum, then zirconium, and hafnium and zirconium is almost having the equal or same same atomic radius. Both are having same atomic radius, and so on with the next group element also for some distance. Okay, why is it? This is due to the reason that I am telling. This is due to the reason which is called as lanthanoid contraction. Here again means below actinium. Actinium will also show actinoid contraction, but this is the main reason, that is lanthanoid contraction. So actually the lanthanum, it is having the atomic number 57. After 57, 58, that is cerium, to lutetium, that is 71. They are involved in the F block, which are represented downside the periodic table. So while moving from cerium to lutetium, we will see that elements enter in the F block, that is F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, F6. In the same shell, the electrons are increases. Since we know that the F group or F block is having the poor shielding effect. Poor shielding effect means F block elements, they are not able to cover up the nucleus, so that the nucleus will not attract, may not attract the outermost electron. So F block is having a poor shielding effect. It is not able to prevent, it is not able to prevent the attraction of nucleus over the outermost electron. That's why due to poor shielding effect, the nucleus, that is atomic nucleus, attract the outermost electron on a large scale, and due to which the atomic size will decrease from left to right, but in a very large ratio. Means very means fastly, or very means there is a large decrease in atomic radius from left to right. So continuously the radius will decrease, and similarly when after 71, 72 atomic number, that is hafnium, is there. So when we will see that there is this much decrement in the radius, that the atomic radius of hafnium is just equal to the zirconium, and that is the reason. So we can say that here the trend has been disturbed due to the lanthanoid contraction. And what is lanthanoid contraction? The F block elements, they shows poor shielding effect, and due to this poor shielding effect, what happens, that outermost electrons are attracted by the nucleus very much, and that's why the atomic size decreases very largely. Okay, that's why it is called lanthanoid contraction. Now I just want to tell you one more thing, that the atomic radius also depends on the number of bonds. Means if number of bonds in some elements is more, then atomic radius will decrease. For example, an element is there, that is X, and they are having a single bond, and element they are having double bond, and element they are having triple bond. You can consider the example of carbon, like carbon form single bond, carbon form double bond, carbon form triple bond. So as much as number of bonds increases, the radius will decrease. So it is having, means it is 1, 2, 3. So third one is having the least radius. This one will be the order of atomic radius. So we can say atomic radius is inversely proportional to the number of bonds between the atoms. Okay, so now we will discuss about the next part of the chapter, that is about the ionic radius. So let's discuss about the ionic radius. Students, you know very well that what are ions. If any element X is there, it is donating the electron. Suppose n electrons it is donating or it is releasing, then it is getting n plus charge. And if it is accepting n electrons, then it is getting n minus charge. Okay, So in this way we are having a positively charged and a negatively charged species. The positively charged species, it is called cation, and negatively charged species, it is called anion. Okay, you have to remember that the radius of cation is always lesser than the radius of anion. Means radius of cation, and if we compare the radius of cation and the radius of anion, then radius of anion is always greater than the radius of cation and also lesser than the radius of a neutral atom. Okay, let's take some examples. So ionic radius, how we can relate it? Like see, Na and Na plus is there. So Na is having more atomic radius as compared to the Na plus. Like F is there and F negative is there. So it is the anion is having more atomic radius, and if we can write it like this, so this is will be the order. One more thing, that in ionic radius, how to calculate the ionic radius? So there are two conditions. Number one, if number of electrons are same. Number of electrons are same in species, that means isoelectronic species are there. So number of electron, like we can consider sodium Na plus, okay, we can consider fluorine F negative, O negative, Mg plus 2, okay, aluminium plus 3. We can consider, there are some examples. Okay, so how can we calculate? If the number of electrons, suppose in these all the number of electrons are same. So if number of electrons are same in isoelectronic species, then you have to remember that atomic radius, it is inversely proportional to the atomic number. So on increasing atomic number, the atomic radius will decrease. So the atomic radius will decrease. So the least atomic number means the maximum atomic number, it is of sodium. Afterwards it is aluminium. Let's write it in this way, like minimum oxygen, then fluorine, then sodium, then magnesium, then aluminium. So the element having maximum atomic radius will have minimum atomic number will have minimum atomic radius. You have to remember this relation. And second thing is also there, that if the elements are having same charge. Second is, if elements are having same charge. If elements are having same charge, like we can see that chromium plus 3, chromium plus 5, Fe plus 2, Fe plus 3, okay, are having same charge. Very good example. Fe plus 2, Cu plus 2. Then what is next one? Like chromium plus 3, okay, and we are having aluminium plus 3. So in this case we will simply consider that rule, that is on increasing atomic number the atomic radius will decrease or increase. That is, in a period the atomic radius will decrease, and in a group the atomic radius will decrease. So here Fe plus 2 and Cu plus 2, the minimum atomic radius is of Fe, it will be of Cu. And chromium plus 3 and aluminium, since it is in third period and it is in second period, and so that's why we can say it is having okay, so it will be like this. So this is all about the atomic radius. Okay students, I hope you understand this one. This means this topic about the atomic radius. Okay, one more thing means in actually most of the part I have been completed. One more thing that I want to tell you, that in period number third, like scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc. First of all, the atomic radius will decrease. Afterwards, the atomic radius of these elements is almost same. Why they are same? Because due to their configuration, electronic configuration, means poor shielding effect of the d orbital electrons, means comparatively, means poor shielding effect is there, due to which first of all atomic radius become equal and afterwards atomic radius will increase firstly. Okay, this is called as d this is called as d block transition. Okay, so this is the reason. So almost here, means in copper also we will having the almost same atomic radius. These all things you will study in d block elements in class 12th. So that much that we have done, it is okay. And students, you are requested to do NCERT questions related to the atomic radius, and afterwards you can discuss with me. Thank you so much.